This is Call of Duty Black Ops 3, what people would refer to as the golden age of Call of Duty Zombies, where every map was a slam dunk, and all featured very intricate hidden Easter egg quests. The map that is in nearly everyone's top 5 is DLC 1's the Eisendrache. Once the Easter egg quest had been solved, it was then time to master it and find quicker methods of completing. Fast forward to now, and the Eisendrache solo is the speedrun with the most submissions out of any COD zombie speedrun. And today I'm going to tell you how this all really began. The first time the Eisendrache would get beaten in under 1 hour would be 13 days after it was first released by Akitaka Suya. The first thing Akitaka did was make his way to the courtyard to fill up the first dragon with 8 zombies. Once finished, he turned on power, then went into the undercroft to fill up dragon number 2. Then finally went up to church to fill up dragon number 3. The reward for filling up the 3 dragons is the Wrath of the Ancient's bow. The next step of the Easter egg is to upgrade the bow into one of 4 variants. Akitaka chose to upgrade with the lightning quest, as it is fastest and the easiest quest to do. He then shoots the 3 bonfires after several attempts. One of the bonfires requires a long detour to rocket test in order to shoot. However, Akitaka used a specific lineup at the second bonfire to shoot the last bonfire. Although this was not done very quickly, taking 3 minutes. Once he teleported back, he did the anti-gravity wall run to trigger the next step. Upon teleporting, the rocket test triggered, so he used it to get a part for the Ragnarok TG2, something that is required for later on. Then he shot the bonfire again with the electric spark. He did the same thing with the other 2 with little issue before grabbing the arrow and finally filled it up to get the lightning bow. Then he triggered the wisp step by shooting the orbs on top of the teleporter. There are 8 objects that can be found around the map. One of them will start sparking at random, and the player must go around the map and find the wisp, then shoot it with the upgraded bow. It then does this 3 more times before the step is complete. The location that the wisp spawns at is quite important in a speedrun, because you start here and get one near there, it's going to be a lot quicker than getting one all the way over there. Akitaka got this one, the globe wisp. However, this shot killed the zombie, ending the round and therefore restarting the step. After extensive looking around, he found it at the church, followed by the other church wisp, then the power wisp, and finally the wheel. Then he inputted the vault code into the computer, grabs the final Ragnarok part by turning on the death ray, then he grabs the key card from the vault, repairs the death ray, then does the first Simon Says puzzle. Then he starts shooting the wisps again, as you are required to repeat this step in order to get the stone tablet. He then pushed the green button to drop Dempsey, picks up the golden rod and spawns in the keeper. The keeper step works like this. The keeper will go to 4 spots around the map in a random order, and at each spot will make you kill 20 zombies with the upgraded bow before moving on to the next spot. He will do this until all 4 spots have been filled. The order the keeper goes in will either be faster or slower depending on how far away from the start and end the keeper goes. Once the keeper step is finished, Akitaka enters the boss fight with a Pack-a-Punch Brecci shotgun, Danger Closest gobble gum, and monkey bombs. With this setup, the boss fight didn't pose too much of a challenge, and he was able to complete the Easter egg in under an hour. The first in history. How can this be sped up? The next world record will come a month later from a player called Bartle, who unfortunately deleted his YouTube channel, so the following run comes on May 18th from Smidge. This run featured a magic new addition to the speedrun, which made every speedrunner's wildest dreams come true. Microtransactions. Smidge would use mega gobblegums in order to speed up the time. They are obtained from gum machines littered all over the map, and they do a variety of different things, such as instantly pack-punching the next gun you buy, or spawning in a double points power-up. While these are only meant to be obtained through playing the game or money, there are methods to keep these gobblegums from being used, and therefore you can have infinite. The main difference in the route was a slight change up in the Dragon Order, as well as an improved method of shooting the rocket test bonfire from castle. Another improvement made in this world record was instead of putting the arrow into the lightning bolt box straight away when it was filled, he instead went over to the teleporter and started the wisp step. This saved time as he then wouldn't have to go back and re-grab the bow. The wisp RNG was also massively improved, getting church wisp first, then the other church, then power, then wheel, resulting in a much quicker wisp step. He also decided to change the Simon Says order, opting to do the rocket test puzzle first, then the castle puzzle, before doing the wisp step after dropping Dempsey. The keeper order was unfortunately the worst possible, but with his Pack-a-Punch KRM and the use of the fatal contraption Gobblegum, he used the death machines to kill the panzers as quickly as he could, and finished with a time of 35:45. 4 days later, Bartle would beat this time by a minute. But that too is also deleted, so we'll never know how he did it. And there the record stood for 8 months. Since the last run, there have been several updates to the game, adding several new gobblegums. One called Shopping Free would become included into the speedruns in order to open up the map for free, along with Fatal Contraption for the boss fight, and Perkaholic to get a full set of perks for free. The last 2 slots would be taken up by Dead of Nuclear Winter, which is useful for ending the rounds in an instant, and Anywhere But Here, which when used teleports you to a random location around the map. You could see how this is both useful and frustrating to a speedrunner. Smidge would use these gobblegums to beat Bartle's time with a 33:11, along with an improvement on the second wisp step. Instead of shooting the wisps after the Simon Says puzzles, he instead shoots them during the puzzles, saving a lot of time overall. He also noticed that whenever you kill the second panzer, the rocket test always seems to start. Not knowing why this was the case, he routed his speedrun to do the Ragnarok part after the second teleport. Along with perfect keeper route and an improved boss fight, Smidge reclaimed world record with a time of 33:11, which is a time he was happy with, so he left it alone for several months. On the 16th of May 2017, the Zombie Chronicles DLC was released, and with it came even more gobblegums, 2 of which would see heavy use in Black Ops 3 speedruns. Fatal Contraption had now been succeeded by Raindrops, a gobblegum which gives the player every power-up, including a death machine, nukes, and money. Shopping Free would also be succeeded by Extra Credit, which instead of opening doors for free, gives you a lot of money, and so is better suited for the Eisendrache, where you move through the map more slowly to fill up dragons. With these new gobblegums, Smidge was able to shave off a good amount of time, using Anywhere But Here to quickly go from the rocket test back to the castle without having to use the jump pad. Raindrops would also now be used in the boss fight in place of Fatal Contraption to give Smidge the death machines to kill the panzers. Wolfie would beat Smidge's time on the 7th of August with a 31:41, and would introduce some slight changes to the route. First thing is he would start with the Church Dragon instead of Courtyard, as it was faster. He was also able to get his second wisp done extraordinarily fast, as all the wisps were in a perfect trail from spawn to death ray, which is where he needed to go. As a result, he was able to teleport immediately after picking up the keycard from the vault, then anywhere but here straight back to the death ray once he arrived back, saving a good amount of time. This was also the first run to feature the Pack-a-Punch starting pistols used during the damage phase of the boss fight. Then another new runner called Steve would beat this time.
I am Steve.
This run had a few mistakes, such as messing up the wall run step and missing the bonfire shot and having to go back and get a new spar. But with far smoother movement and general gameplay, Steve managed to shave off 14 seconds from Wolfie's time. Not to be outdone, Wolfie would then beat this time 6 days later with an arsenal of new tricks and time saves. First thing is early anti-gravity. In order to complete the wall run step, you first need to turn on anti-gravity mode. But this can take a while, as you have to stand on each square for several seconds. Before this, runners would turn on 3 out of 4 of the squares while filling up the dragon and leave the last one to turn on later. But Wolfie was about to change that. He turned on all 4 squares while filling up the dragon, knowing that with it cycling from on to off in intervals of 50 seconds on and 1 minute off, so long that he does not mess up the bow shots really badly, the anti-gravity will be on when he goes downstairs to do the wall run, saving him from having to turn it on. This would also be the first run to feature the pre-shot, where you shoot the bonfire and grab the arrow before it hits. This also featured what he dubbed the YOLO swag shot. Another new feature of this run was the discovery of how to trigger the rocket test sequence on command. While it does not work every time, as the rocket test needs to not be on cooldown, if it is not on cooldown, you can trigger rocket test by simply spawning in a power-up from either a gobblegum, killing a zombie, or like before, killing a panzer. This discovery took away a lot of the randomness that is the rocket test, and made it far easier to route. With a smooth keeper and boss fight, the run was finished with a final time of 30 minutes and 51 seconds, and that is where it stood for 2 years. It's not 100% clear why the community went so quiet for 2 years, but what is clear is this is not isolated to just the Eisendrache. Origins would see the same thing happen. Shadows of Evil 2 would see this same gap. It could be because of the flop that was Black Ops 4's launch, or people moving on to other games. However, things would return in 2019. A player called Lonely Legend would be the person to break the ice with the first sub 30. He also brought some new modifications to the speedrun. Instead of going the traditional church to spawn to check wisps, he would instead go backwards and check spawn first. Unfortunately though, it did not pay off, as the wisp did end up at church. Next up was the reroute of Simon Says. Previously, runners would shoot all 4 wisps while entering the code, then teleport back in time after grabbing the parts from the safe. Legend decided instead to grab the parts, then go back up and fix the death ray, then go back down to teleport. He did this so that when he teleported back to Rocket Test, he could immediately start the Simon Says puzzle at Rocket Test, then complete the rest as before. 6 months later, the world record would be claimed by Kooky, who unfortunately removed the footage, so we can't see it today. The next run, a month later however, would mark a new age for the speedrun, as it was time to move from console to PC. There are many benefits to speedrunning on PC, not limited to better frames per second, 120 FOV, easier to record, keyboard and mouse is superior for movement. And the biggest benefit of all is fast restarting. the developers left a function in the game, fast_restart, which you can bind in the keybind files to make restarting seamless, which compared to the unloading and reloading on console, vastly increased reset efficiency. And with this massive improvement, Bull was able to beat the record another 2 times in the course of a week, bringing the world record down to a 28:09, a minute and 18 seconds from where it was before. A new trick used was the quote skip. At the very end of the Easter egg, the main character Richtofen says a long quote before the cutscene plays.
The road is long and dark, but I know where we are going. We will complete our mission.
But if you're playing as Richtofen and you down yourself, the quote does not happen, and the cutscene starts straight away, saving you 7 seconds. Another improvement was the 2-in-1 shot for upgrading the lightning bow. When you shoot the faraway bonfire, while the arrow is travelling, you have just enough time to get another spark before it goes away, and then you can use that spark to light up the other bonfire. Upon getting this time, Fantastic Bull humbly declared himself the DE King. On the 18th of October 2020, a new speedrunner called Hoppo would dethrone Fantastic Bull with a time of 28:06, and this run would mark 2 more discoveries, both to do with the wisps. One is you can not only see, but you can actually shoot the spawn wisp from up top near the death ray by sniping it through the hole in the roof. The other breakthrough is an increased understanding of the wisp order. The wisps have a method to their madness. While the first wisp is completely random and can spawn at any of the 8 locations, the next wisp after that is limited to the 2 closest wisp locations to the first one, then the next 2 locations, and so on. This makes perfect wisps go from 1 in 1680 to a 1 out of 64. And with speedrunners memorizing all the possible wisp spawns, this makes wisp searching far more efficient. Runners will now only ever be checking 2 locations. And despite Hoppo only beating the world record by 3 seconds, you can see by his splits just how low the world record can go from here. The question is, who will break the sub 28 barrier? Will it be me? No. That honour could go to the runner Penguin, who has tied Hoppo's 28:06, and he would get on a run on the 14th of March. Despite getting Church Wisp first, he did not get any of the 50/50s, but was still 10 seconds ahead of Hoppo going into the teleporter.
Change your heart. Look around you.
This would also be the first run to feature the new Simon Says route. Old runs would put the parts in the death ray, then do second TP, then do Simon Says after that, but the new reroute would have you fix the death ray, then jump over to Rocket, then do that Simon Says, then ABH and do the other Simon Says, then push the button and jump over to teleport from Rocket. This saved time as you would be combining waiting for the Groff cutscene with waiting for the rocket to drop, and having them happen at the same time effectively reduces the amount of time you'll have to wait overall. The Keeper Order was unfortunately spawned first and Mule Kick last, which is the worst possible, but he did have an ace up his sleeve, the XM53. It insta-finishes each damage phase, saving time over the MR6. Would that be enough to get the sub 28?
Let's go! Hold it! Ah! Let's go! Ooh, haha! Let's go!
It was indeed the first sub 28 minute run of the Eisendrache, and again showed this time can get lower if someone gets the luck. On the horizon was a new runner. After speedrunning the map Shadows of Evil, he fancied some De Eisendrache. He had gotten a 28:37, a respectable time but 40 seconds away from world record, so even he wasn't really expecting to beat the world record anytime soon. But 5 days after getting that time, he did this.
think you barely beat it. You're ahead by like 3 to 5 seconds, I think. What the f- What the f- Nice.
What the f- How did I throw that hard and still get it?
Despite downing during the keeper step, he was so far ahead of world record that it didn't really matter. It only shaved off 7 seconds in the end, but it showed that this world record was going to keep going down. It was not over. Then some loser beat the world record.
Better make me go Lamau, otherwise I finna rage. This would have been a 920 TP. What? 1 in 5 I don't get rain. Woohoo! Whoa! This is it! Yeah! Ah! Shut up, Cookie. I see what's going on! Whoa! Yes!
Yeah, this run sucks. Let's ignore this one. What followed was the run being beaten in 27 minutes and 21 seconds, and it was the first world record to feature Squid Game in the background. The first wisp were 1 50-50 off being perfect. The second wisp were all very good and on path, resulting in a very quick Simon Says segment. Despite the keeper going to spawn first, which is not very fast, it did end at power, which is one of the better locations, resulting in an alright keeper segment and a near exact bot center to the 2735. Yet the run finished way quicker. And this was the point where the grueling discovery of boss RNG was made. The keeper boss has 3 attacks it does just before the damage phase. One is the fire attack, one is the void attack, and one is the dog attack. The dog attack on phase 1 especially will lose you 7 seconds every time, of which it can happen multiple times. And can you control which attacks the keeper does? No. Boss RNG, ladies and gentlemen. A month and a half would go by, then Penguin would get on a fast run.
This game's terrible.
Despite messing up the quote skip at the end by downing too early, he did beat the world record. He just didn't know it, as the world record at the time was cheated. For sub 27 was so on. It's just a question of who's going to get it.
I'm not in a good position cycle-wise. There is a 1 in 5 chance I do not get raindrops, and if it happens, I'm going to be livid!
All that's needed now is raindrops.
No, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. You're not that mean. A 1 in 5! God's sake! That was a 1 in 5!
Unfortunately, the noob speedrunner didn't cycle his gobblegums correctly, leaving a 1 out of 5 chance of the run dying right there and then. And of course that's what happened. The gobblegums are cycled through so that every gum is acquired at least once before resetting the cycle. So it is random, but if done correctly you can ensure you get raindrops. Had it appeared, the speedrun could have finished as low as 26:35, and who knows how long it would take to get a speedrun like that again.
There you are! There you are! Don't do that. No, don't do that. That's fair. That's 2 dogs already. Don't do that. That's 3 dogs. Go away, zombie. You're trying to walk in front of me. Come on, come on, come on. 26, 26. It's gonna be so close! Oh, that's dead close. Come on! Come on! No! God damn it! Oh, so close to the 26. I will take that though. Oh, baby.
Boss RNG strikes again. Unfortunately for Ultra Noob, the 26 will have to wait.
So going into the run, it was just like any other run. You don't know what's going to happen, but going into these runs, I had one goal. One more world record to get all of them on the mainline Black Ops 3 maps. So I was really grinding. I was hard at work.
Despite getting Church first, he lost all 3 of his 50-50s. The second Wisp lined up really well with his Simon Says route, and he got a gold split, meaning it was the fastest he'd ever completed that step in a run. The Keeper route unfortunately finished at spawn, resulting in a longer route.
I was doing my Keeper step, and I knew I was world record pace, but I got that Keeper finishing at spawn last, which is such a big time loss, and I knew it was close. I knew it was so close to beat the world record, and I really started doubting it. I was just pleading that this was going to be the one.
But during boss fight, he lost just 2 seconds to boss RNG, resulting in...
Holy fuck!
Here we go!
Let's go. Nice fifth.
Let's go, baby! Whoa! Oh yeah! That's all of them! That's all of them, baby! Let's go!
Nice.
Pure jubilation. It was probably one of the best moments in my speedrunning career. I don't really think many things have topped it. It's still probably one of my favourite world records I've ever gotten. Oh my god.
Good job.
You can't.
Enjoy becoming Thanos champ.
Let's go, baby! Yeah! That's all of them, baby! Let's go! Let's go! I'm so hyped for it, man. Let's go, what? Oh my god.
Seven long months would go by with no activity at the top of the Eisendrache leaderboard. It wouldn't be until October 30th, 2022 that Freckleston himself would make a 5-second improvement to his world record, brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. However, that was it for the rest of 2022 and most of 2023. It seemed the world record was settled.
Time to ascend into the clouds. This is the run.
It would be on August 6th, 2023, when former Classic Gums world record holder Rish Official would have a crack at the Megas world record and would eventually beat it with a 26:40.
We done it, guys. We done it, guys. We done it, guys. We done it. Let's go. A monumentous day in history. Finally. Holy. Oh man, my heart, man, my heart.
This run had perfect first wisps. His second wisp were not the best, but was still alright. He would get a really good keeper route and would lose 3 seconds to boss fight RNG. Then on August 29th, some guy everyone hates got the world record again with a 26:35. Then Freckleston got it back with a 26:20. Then a year later would beat it again, getting a 26:02. Using a new strategy discovered by Rish Official. How it works is to get the Ragnarok part, you have to hit a switch at rocket test. Then you have to wait for the rocket test to finish, then hit a switch next to the teleporter to spawn in a piece. He discovered that if you hit the switch as late as you can, then use anywhere but here, you have just enough time to jump back to rocket and pick up the part. This was huge. It allowed runners to effectively leave the rocket test area and do some other stuff while waiting for it to finish. Now that this new strategy was discovered, it made the sub 26 practically inevitable.
So you go from 0 to 100 sometimes for some people. For me, it started all the way back after I got that 1 ABH I needed right after the first time in sus. My heart just started beating, just like very quick. I TP, I do my keeper, I'm okay. I get into boss and now I'm probably like 150 easy, just like with my heart rate. 150 BPM, really easy. I'm really nervous this entire run. So we have a trick where we take some bullets out of our MR6s or PAPs, and we're able to basically do one whole mag each phase to the boss. And so when I did try to do that trick, it didn't work. So I had to reload and shoot an extra amount of times, which ended up costing me a lot of time. Well, the only thing in my mind was just 25, don't f*** up. Finally, 4 years. You have stopped nothing. Of course, I felt a little mad, you know? I did feel a little mad because I'm like, I f***ed up a bit. At the same time, I'm just like ecstatic, happy. I'm like, I literally go and jump on my bed because I'm just like freaking out because I did something what a lot of people wanted to do. Get this 25.
Then that brings us to today. The world record is currently 25:54, held by Freckleston. And that is where we are today. Thanks for watching.